Okie dokie. Green Lantern. So, I guess Ryan Reynolds kind of, like, regrets making this movie, even though I thought it was really good. Everybody hates it. They hate it just about as much as... well, they hate it. That's how much they hate it. So anyway, Ryan Reynolds plays Hal Jordan, which is the first incarnation of the Green Lantern. He's a, like, fighter pilot or some shit for, like, the Air Force, and he also works with Carol Ferris, who her dad, like, runs, like, the aviation company or some shit like that. So he's, like, best friends with, like, this weird fucking dude who, he's somebody famous. I don't know who he is, but they're, like, best friends. So anyway, one night, like, he witnesses, like, a spaceship crash, and he goes to check it out, and it's, like, a dying purple alien, which I forget what the name is, but he is the current, like, Green Lantern of, like, this sector. So I guess there's, like, an intergalactic Green Lantern Corps, and each, like, quadrant of the universe has, like, their own, like, Green Lanterns or some shit, and, like, there's, like, billions of them. Like, I thought there was only going to be, like, a handful, but there's literally, like, billions of people with this fucking Green Lantern ring. So, anyway, this purple dude is, like, the guardian of, like, this sector, which has Earth in it. So he crashes, and he's, like, bleeding out, dying, and he pretty much tells Hal Jordan that the ring chose him to be, like, the successor for Green Lantern. So he gets the ring, and he's all confused and shit, and he's trying to figure out how to, like, activate it, but then he has to, like, recite the oath, and then he becomes Green Lantern. And the costume that he has is pretty cool, but it's not a costume, it's just made out of, like, energy, essentially. So, I don't know. A lot of people didn't like that. I thought it was kind of cool. But anyway, so he tells his best friend about it, and he shows him his Green Lantern, and the best friend's like, whoa, that's fucking trippy, or whatever. Meanwhile, so the government captures the purple dude and experiments on him and puts this other guy in charge who's, like, the lead scientist, which ironically is, like, you know, obsessed with the girl that Hal Jordan is with, and he's trying to, like, steal her away, pretty much. So while he's, like, doing an autopsy on the thing, he pricks his finger, like, on, like, some kind of, like, organ or some shit of the alien, and this yellow shit, like, infects him. And so what the yellow shit is Phalanx, or some shit like that. Back in the day when all the rings were forged, there were different rings for, like, different, like, emotions, I guess. Like, there's, like, a rage, there's a fear, hope, love, I think. There's a shit ton. There's, like, a variety of colors. But green is willpower, and that's, like, the most prominent one in the comics. That's what Green Lantern has. So you can use your power of will to, like, make constructs with your mind, and that's essentially what he does. Anyway, so he gets infected with this yellow shit, and it's actually, like, this alien Phalanx, who used to be, like, one of, like, these celestial guardians, but he, like, went rogue and got corrupted by the power of fear. So that's slowly corrupting him throughout the movie, making his head all, like, bulbous and, like, crazy and shit, and turns him evil. Green Lantern is then summoned to, like, the planet Oa, which I guess is, like, the meeting point of all the lanterns, and he's befriended by Kilowog and some other, like, fucking vulture-looking thing, and also Sinestro, who is, like, pretty much a douche, but it's, like, his mentor. And Sinestro's pretty much tasked with, like, teaching him how to become a Green Lantern. And with his teachings, he goes back to Earth and has to confront, you know, whatever the fucking scientist's name was, like, you know, Big Head, and has to fight him. And pretty much they find out that he's possessed by the Phalanx guy, which was funny because in the comic books, Hal Jordan actually becomes the Phalanx or whatever. And, yeah. And then I think Kyle Rayner takes over. But Hal Jordan gets corrupted in the comic books and becomes this guy. So they switched it around for the movie. And I guess a lot of people didn't like that either. So I forget what happens to the scientist. I think he just, like, I don't know, dies or turns into, like, I don't know, something. So he takes the alien out in space and pretty much, like, fucking uppercuts it into the sun and destroys it. And then they pretty much have a ring forged with the power of fear in it for some reason. I don't remember why. And they're, like, holding it hostage on Oa, but then Sinestro sees it, and he, like, puts it on, and then he becomes the Sinestro from the comic book, with, like, you know, the fear power. And that was supposed to be a sequel, but they never did that because the movie bombed, because, you know, DC Comics, and fuck them. But that's essentially it. That's Green Lantern in a nutshell. You know, ultimately, I guess he was having trouble with the girl, Carol Ferris, which is funny because that's his wife in reality, but they end up together in the movie, and he continues being Green Lantern, and the end. I guess they were supposed to have a different incarnation of Green Lantern for Justice League. I mean, they showed a Green Lantern in, like, the opening credits or something, like the weird, like, medieval fight that they were having. There was a Green Lantern kind of subtly in the background. But a lot of people said it was supposed to be Jon Stewart, but they completely scrapped that idea. Alright, guys. Bye-bye.